This is a video no one has asked for, but it's the video you're gonna get. Time for a long-term review. I haven't done something like this for a while now, and I'm looking forward to this one actually. I did something similar with my giant Trinity a few years back. I'll link that in the cards above. Essentially, I've had this Argon now for a few years, a year and a half maybe, and I thought it'd be a really good idea to give you a bit of an insight into what I found is good about it, what I found is not so good about it, and there are definitely a few of those, so make sure you stay tuned to the end of the video to find out what they are. Now, before we go any further and we dive into the review, I do just want to do a quick disclaimer. Argon have not sponsored me at all. They have not provided me with this bike. They have not asked me to do this video, and they don't get to see the video before I post it. I bought this bike with my own money. I bought it from BW Cycling in Bristol, and they very kindly gave me a discount on the frame set, and I put everything else from my previous bike onto this bike. And as you can see over my shoulder there, I've made a few upgrades as well, which I've mentioned in previous videos. BW Cycling haven't asked me to do this video. Again, they don't get to see the video before I post it. So this is completely my own personal review. I'm not dictated by anyone else saying that I need to say certain things or do certain things. So you can hopefully rest assured that this is very, very genuine and a proper review. I will leave links to BW Cycling in the description below because I absolutely love the guys there. I think they're absolutely fantastic, probably the best bike shop in the country. I'm a little bit biased, so do go and check them out if you're interested. And I do believe they are getting a few more of these bikes in stock. So after this review, if you're interested, go and hit them up and see what they can do for you. First off, let's start with the things that I like. We'll move on to the dislikes at the end of the video. The first thing, I will move out the way for this. I just feel like this is the, I'm a bit biased, but I think this is the best looking TT bike out there. What do you think? I mean, look, I know looks are very subjective and there are some very, very nice looking TT triathlon bikes out there. However, I think the aesthetics of this bike, Argon have absolutely smashed it out of the park. Let me know if you completely disagree with me in the comment section below, and if you think there's a better looking bike out there. Like I said, there's lots of good looking bikes, but yeah, I think they've absolutely smashed it with the aesthetics of this thing. The next thing that I really enjoy is when I go to races, this bike's not actually mega popular, or it's a popular bike, but there's not a crazy amount of them. Whereas everyone knows when you normally go to triathlon, it's full of, you know, the Canyon Speed Max, the Trek Speed Concept, the Cervelo P5, probably quite a few shivs. Those are clearly fantastic bikes, but I just really like the fact that there's not actually a crazy amount of these on race day, or when you're racking your bike. It just feels a bit more special. I don't know, maybe that's just me being weird, but I think I quite like that. The aero brake calipers, I think that's really neat. It's similar to on the Canyon Speed Max, and I think that's really, really nice addition. Just makes everything look really, really clean. The frame is quite bulky, which gives it a nice aesthetic. There is one problem with that, which I will mention further on in the video. Another neat feature is the fact that this base bar can be flipped the other way around if you want it slightly lower, if you want it slightly higher. As you'll notice, I've got it edged up because I think that if it was the other way around, it would probably hurt my back quite a bit when I'm climbing and descending. And actually, for the most part, you're gonna be in the cups anyway. But when you're on the bullhorns, you kind of want to be as comfortable as possible. That's why I flipped it up. I don't believe there's any aero disadvantage to it being like this, other than the fact that your body is going to be obviously slightly higher up, but you could just hunker down a little bit more. It's going to be more comfortable. It's probably a better option for someone like me. I like the fact that they've added storage into the frame in the bottom bracket area. This is where the junction box stays, but it's also where you get a little pouch for your tools, or I guess you could put some snacks in there or some extra kit if you wanted to. It's just a really neat, tidy way of storing more on your bike, either for race day or for training, so you don't have to clog up your pockets with all your different spares and tubes and everything like that, which I think is really, really neat. The other thing that's really good is this top tube pouch. It doesn't look that big, but it does dig into the top of the frame and the top tube area, so it probably comes down to here. It's just nice. You can fit actually quite a lot in there, which if you're doing Centre Point 3 or even long course triathlon, it's going to be very valuable to have as much space here as you possibly can. Now, this is something that a lot of bike brands are doing now is these rubber grips on the end here. These are amazing. I think that's way better than actual grip tape. It's super grippy. It's just really nice to touch. I guess the only thing that I would prefer is if it came around the bar a little bit more, similar to either on the Canyon or on the Cervelo P5. I think that would be a little bit nicer, but nevertheless, the rubber grips, absolutely love it. Now let's talk about some dislikes, because there are a few. So I guess there's one big one, and there's a few then like little gripes that I've got with this bike. The one big one is the weight. It is very, very heavy, especially when you've got it fully kitted out with all the hydration that you need for race day or for training or whatever. What the actual weight is, I'm not 100% sure, but let me tell you, it feels bloody heavy. And that does sometimes affect the handling somewhat, because it does feel like you're driving a canal boat, I guess, in some sense. Like it just, like, I guess any TT bike is similar to that. However, it's very noticeable when you put it up against something like, for example, the Cervelo P5, which is quite a light TT bike. When I was out in Lanzarote in January for a 2-week training camp, I was out there with a good friend of mine, Will Crudge, and he's got a Cervelo P5, and it was noticeable that this was, it was kilos heavier. It was definitely like probably 1.5 kilos, 2 kilos heavier without any fluid on it, which, if you're doing hilly courses, is not great. However, it actually doesn't, I'm not saying it doesn't affect me, but it doesn't affect me too much, because I know that I'm not great on those hilly courses anyway, so I don't really want to do those hilly courses. Yes, it would be amazing if they could make the same frame shape bike lighter. I doubt they would be able to. There's a lot of material here, and although it probably makes it incredibly aerodynamic, which is what you don't want to lose that. It just would be nice if they could just shave a little bit of weight off of it, so it feels a little bit more snappy in and out of the corners, and it just feels a little bit nicer to climb with. However, like I said, it's a TT bike. The ultimate goal is speed, and this does that very, very well. So if they end up playing around with the weight, you could end up losing that, and it's a bit of a difficult thing to do. However, like I said, I don't really want to be doing those hilly courses anyway. I'd quite like more rolling courses, flatter courses, and when this bike comes to those courses, you can't really beat it, to be honest, or it's going to be up there with the best bikes out there. So it's something to mention for those of you that might be interested in the bike. It is quite heavy, but you just have to work around it, basically. The other thing that I think probably could be done slightly better is just using the internal storage a little bit more. Like I said, they've got a really good section on the bottom bracket, which is amazing, but these tubes are so big, you could actually store quite a lot within the frame. So this top tube box here could actually go a lot further, or you could have, similar to the Canyon Speedmax, a bladder down here. Whether that makes it better or not, I'm not 100% sure. I've never 100% thought those bladder ideas are good. However, it's just because the frame is so big, there's so much space here, there could be maybe a better kind of storage solution with different things. The other thing that I'm not that massively keen on is the fact that this little top tube cap thing, it just like, it's very plasticky, it's very meh, and it's like, you know, for a bike that's quite expensive, I think that probably could be a bit of a better design, but you know, it does the job, it just feels quite cheap. Rubber grips, they are fantastic. However, I would prefer them to extend around the bar slightly, similar to on the P5 or on the Speedmax. Just a little bit more extension on the rubber would be really nice, so you can move your hands around. These ones are just slightly short, but the rubber grip is still lovely. So there you go, guys, bit of a long-term review. If you have any other specific questions, or if you feel like I haven't covered anything, do drop it in the comments section below. Like I said, I absolutely love this bike. There's nothing out there that's going to be perfect for every single person, because we've all got slightly different needs. We've all got slightly different ideas of what's good, what's bad, what's needed, what's not needed, all of this stuff. All in all, I think this is an absolutely incredible machine behind me, and like I said, I've changed a few things on there to make it even better and more personal for myself, and to be honest, I probably wouldn't change much on it. I would like to see maybe a future iteration, like I said, slightly lighter, but really, That's probably the only gripe that I've got with this bike. There are a few other things that maybe could be refined a little bit better, but ultimately, I think it's an absolute machine. Let me know what you think of it in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.